It took a little bit of time, but finally I am done watching the 2014 NASCAR Cup Series season. A season which, to many people, is the end all of, the package talk. And why don't we just go back to 2014 package with unlimited horsepower and basically the same size spoilers we have on the cars in current day NASCAR at intermediate and higher tracks. Um, 2014 is basically it's the end of high horsepower. This is the last season of engines without tapered spacers on them every single week. This is the last season with over 900 horsepower on these engines. Um, it is the last season for NASCAR with increasing the downforce. After this season, after 2014, they start to decrease the downforce until we get to 2019 when they made a sudden shift and went back to giant ass spoilers. Um, and so watching this, right? People always point to 2014 as if there is a season that we want to mimic and we want to have again, 2014 is the one, right? That's what everyone talks about. Like 2014, 2014, 2014. Talking about Gen 6, go watch 2014. It's the best season. Gen 6's best season, 2014, right? All right, watched it. It ranks, I believe, 1.1 point higher than 2013. 2014's average race rating, 71.6. 2013's was 70.5. That makes 2014 the second best season I've watched behind 2011, which has a 76.0 out of 100 race rating. It is higher, obviously, than 2013 by 1.1 points, and 2012, which has a 68.2 rating. So it's higher by about almost 3.5 points over 2012. So the season wasn't fantastic. It wasn't like it was, oh my god, this is the best season ever. It was a great season. It was a good season, but it had great races, but it also had piss poor races, and we'll talk about both of those as well. I want to go off of some funny things that I found throughout the season. We'll start with one of the last races of the season, Texas. At the Texas Motor Speedway, the AAA Texas 500. We all know that race for the end with the Gordon and Keselowski fight with Kevin Harvick and the crazy green-white checker restarts. A little bit earlier on in the race, Casey Kane had driven through the field. If you hear fireworks, don't worry, it's June 26th, so there's some sort of holiday going on. Casey Kane had driven through the field and got up to second position, and then under green flag pit stops, went from second back down to eighth on a green flag pit stop. So it's hard to lose spots under the green flag pit stops since you're spread out and you're going in spread out. He managed to lose 6 spots on pit road. ESPN played a clip from Casey where basically he lost all those spots, and he goes and says, how hard is it just to be fucking average? How hard is that? He was like, why can't we just be average? Why can't we just put out 13-second pit stop and go and be done with it? Which he has a lot of reason to be pissed off. He went through the field, he drove through the field, and then fell back to 8th, and really, once that happened, he never did recover, and his race was pretty much ruined. At Darlington, obviously April Darlington, that's the last time that happens. Last time it should happen. And early on the race, NASCAR is throwing yellows for cars scraping the wall. At points, they're having officials look down and see if there was reason for caution after a car hit the wall. They went on board with Dale Jr. Fox did and played a clip of him where basically he said, we're all going to brush the fence. They better get used to it. Basically saying, hey, if they throw yellow every time we brush the fence, we're going to be here a while because they're going to have to throw yellow about every 5 laps because we're all going to be in the fence at some point in this race, so NASCAR better get used to it. And then going back as well to another Fox race, the first Kansas race of the season, the first Kansas night race that was ever run. At one point under early green flag pit cycles, Brad Keselowski and Paul Wolfe pulled a strategy where they stayed out longer than anyone. They were the last car out there on the racetrack. Clint Bowyer spins down the backstretch to bring out the yellow flag, and Brad Keselowski traps literally every single person a lap down. Literally no one is on the lead lap but the 2 car, which means second place runner I believe it was Kevin Harvick, got the free pass, and then everyone else had to take the wave around. So Brad Keselowski trapped everyone lap down, which was funny. It doesn't really help him because then literally every car takes the wave around. They're going to line up behind you anyway. It's still just a funny thing to have happen where, 42 cars take the wave around because Brad Keselowski trapped everyone down a lap or more, which was very, very funny. I think that's it. TNT, they fell off a cliff as if they weren't bad already. Then they started having audio issues, and they had it for numerous races. In fact, it was very, very famous, the audio issues at Pocono, but it actually happened after that as well. It happened at Michigan, and I believe it actually did happen at Sonoma as well. Or Loudon, I don't remember which one, or maybe Kentucky. But it happened in 3 races, I do believe. I know Pocono and Michigan, it definitely happened. It may have happened in Sonoma as well. But yeah, TNT really kind of just gave up once they knew they didn't get the rights to broadcast a NASCAR race the next season. They kind of just gave up on the sport. Now we're going to go over some races and basically how the averages fall out. So in 2014, I ranked 6 races as great. They were the Daytona 500, which was ranked number 1, the Chase race at Martinsville, the first Martinsville race, the first Talladega race, the Talladega Chase race, and Sonoma. Those 6 races were ranked as great on my board. To kind of compare that with other seasons, there were 5 great races in 2013, so pretty much on the mark with that. In 2012, I only ranked 3 of them as great, and in 2011, I ranked 9 of them as great races. So it pretty much was on par with 2013. 2013 had 5, this one had 6. We'll go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and what races did I rank as bad? The worst race of the season, in my opinion, in 2014, never watch it, never just watch a clip of it. If you're going to watch a clip of it, watch the clip where the guy is on the damn fence. Because Richmond, the last race of the regular season, the race to make it into the chase, was abysmal. After there were tire issues at the first Richmond race of the season, and tires were catching on fire and stuff, Goodyear brought a new compound and made it absolutely terrible. It was multi-groove, but it didn't work that well, and cars just got spread out. They were too hard to drive, and it just didn't work at all. I gave Richmond a 27 out of 100. It's the worst race of the 2014 season. In fact, I believe that is the second worst race that I put, only beating the first Pocono race for 2013. Kentucky, I have ranked at 31 out of 100, not a surprise there. Dover, I have a 40 out of 100, the Chase race at Dover. And the first Phoenix race, I have a 48 out of 100. So that is 4 bad races in 2014. In 2013, I had, once again, 4 bad races. So on the mark with that. In 2012, let me count this very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bad races, so 2 more. In 2011, there were 2 bad races. So it's pretty much on par. That was pretty normal. And then some of the races that just missed being great. The first Bristol race, they were going around like crazy there. Fontana would have been great if not for the tire issues. That kind of infuriated me a little bit and definitely knocked it down like 3, 4, 5 points. It could have been like a 90 or an 89 or something, but instead I gave it an 85 just because of the tire issues. The second Daytona race, probably the Coke 0400 probably would have been great if not for the rain ending. You never like to see races end under the rain. I wish it would have been able to go green to the end. That definitely knocked it down a few points because it was another great race and definitely was wild because of the qualifying setup and whatnot. So there were a lot of underfundeds at the front of the field. Homestead as well, I gave an 84 of 100. The only thing I didn't like about it was they never really got any long green flag runs. It was like NASCAR was looking for stuff to throw yellows for at all times to make sure that didn't get into a long green flag run. They wanted to keep the championship contenders bundled together. They wanted to cause some drama, and they got some with obviously Joe Logano falling off the jack, Denny Hamlin staying out while the others came down, Newman taking 2, Harvick taking 4. It was basically all over the board. So I think I definitely docked out a few points. It could have been probably right up there with 2013. But Gordon also really dominated that race here in 2014. 2013, there were a lot of good battles for the lead back and forth with like cars being good in the short run, cars being good in the long run. And here in 2014, they basically passed for the lead on pit road because someone would get a better pit stop, someone would get a better restart, and there wasn't much passing for the lead once we got strung out. It seemed like whoever was in the lead was able to hold it. Watkins Glen gave it an 84 of 100 as well, so the top 11 I ranked higher than 80. In fact, 11 to 12. 84 to 79, so there are really no races in that range. But Watkins Glen was pretty good. Obviously, you had that Newman and McDowell crash, which was scary. Denny Hamlin getting into the barrels. We had, I think, 2 red flags during that, so it was a long one, but it was a good one. And obviously, that battle between Ambrose and Allmendinger is one of the best road course battles you'll have in NASCAR. And then some races, right, that people love to talk about when they reference 2014, right? The first Richmond race, they go and they say, well, look at this amazing battle in the final laps between, Kenseth, Keselowski, Logano, and Gordon. Yes, the battle was amazing. However, the first 300 or so laps were pretty terrible. And, that definitely hurts the rating for that race. I mean, yes, that battle at the end was completely amazing. But, I mean, the rest of the race was pretty bad. I mean, I don't want what I saw at the end all throughout the race because that's impossible to have happen. But at least I'd like to have something happen, and there wasn't much happening during that. Chicagoland is another one people look at and they say, look at how amazing that was. I will admit Chicagoland was good. It was another good race. In fact, I was looking at the rankings, right, because I have them numbered. Chicagoland was ranked 15th. The 15th best race in all of them before 2014, and in 2014 it was ranked 14th. So Chicagoland's race rankings 15th, 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 14th. So it's very consistently in the top half of races in seasons. Will 2015, 2016, all that change it probably? But yeah, Chicagoland, everyone points to the Keselowski Harvick Larson battle that was there. Yes, that was an amazing, last few restarts in that race. However, earlier in the race, while there was still some good racing, it did get into some lulls, so it wasn't always like that. Everyone points to the AAA Texas 500 as being amazing. There were so many debris yellows, and then that led into just a bunch of yellows and people having to get new tires and people rushing to Goodyear to get more tires. So it wasn't really that great. I'm trying to look maybe for some more. Michigan, everyone always kind of compliments under the 2014 package, but it's ranked at 70 and a 69. I don't really know about that. Everyone talks about the chase race at Loudon, which was a crash fest. There wasn't much great racing. It was just there's a bunch of drama with the chase. Charlotte was once again bad. Indianapolis wasn't really that great. Dover wasn't good. Phoenix wasn't really good. Kentucky was still bad. I mean, the tracks that are still bad were going to be bad. Pocono had a decent race, and then it had a kind of normal race for its standards. And something I actually want to talk about here is the second Kansas race, right? So the first Kansas race, which was run under the lights, where it had the light outage, they kind of ran normal lanes for a repave. They would maybe get up into the second groove at times, the second lane, but you couldn't get much higher than that. And then we get to the chase race at Kansas, and they widened it all the way up to the wall, which is insane to me, right? So it's a repaved. It was repaved middle of 2012, right? We then get to 2014. So it took 2 years for that track to where you can use any single groove on it. You could use the wall, you could use down at the white line, you could use anywhere in between. What repaved tracks that we have had lately can you say we can do that? Texas repaved in 2017. You still can't get off that second groove unless there's PJ1. Kentucky, you're not getting anywhere off that second groove. You know what I mean? These repaved tracks, I wish they would act more like Kansas. Because Kansas, it took 2 years to go from 1 or 2 grooves all the way up to the wall, which is pretty amazing. And whatever pavement they used is really, really working at Kansas because it didn't really ruin the track. Repaved it obviously to where it's in better condition, but it's also wearing to where we will have good racing, right after it happens, and you don't have to wait 10 years or 15 years for it to wear in because Charlotte is still not worn in. It's still very rough on tires, but still not what it used to be. And we see that because so far, I don't know I think the best Charlotte race is the 2011 Coca-Cola 600 that I've watched so far, and I don't really know if many come close. So I think that's about it. I will say, still hate the chase format, and especially this one. This one really bugs me, this original chase format that they had, because points didn't carry over and transfer over into the next rounds, and so wins were only 3 points. So you only got 3 points per win in that first round to use, that's not a lot of points. They didn't give out points for a regular season, and then once you got to a next round, it would reset the points, so it didn't matter what you did. Your wins kind of just didn't matter at that point. It was just pretty stupid. Jeff Gordon in the third round, the eliminator round, got second place at Martinsville and Phoenix, but had a bad race at Texas, which resulted in him getting eliminated. He had 2 second place finishes and got eliminated because of this chase format. That's the only reason he got eliminated, was because of the chase format. He definitely had the best season of anyone out there. Kevin Harvick maybe had the 5th or 6th best season. That's another thing, too. The class of the Final Four in 2014 may have been the worst Final Four class that we had ever, like under this format. You look and you see Kevin Harvick was maybe 5th or 6th best. Joey Logano was maybe the most deserving of it. He was maybe like 3rd or 4th best. Ryan Newman was maybe 6th or 7th. I know he had a very consistent season. Didn't really get many top 5s, or he obviously didn't win. But I think he was kind of consistently a top 10 driver. I think he had like over 15 top 10s that season. And then Denny Hamlin, who deserved it the least, I believe he was outside the top 10 in points. He had a terrible season and kind of lucked his way through. Same with Carl Edwards, who didn't really have a great season, lucked his way through the rounds, and then had a completely terrible round of 8. Matt Kenseth didn't win, made it to the round of 8. So it was just a whole mess, and I think that kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth for the chase format. Maybe that's why I don't like it, because that first season of it really wasn't that great for the format. So, a little overrated, I will say, this season. But you know what? It was a good season. I would watch the season again. Obviously, it's the second best season that I've watched so far. Really, the only season I think that could really beat it at this point is maybe 2016. I think we'll have a shot to beat it. I don't think it will, but it has a shot to beat it. Other than that, 2015 is, everyone says it's the worst, and I don't have many fond memories of it, so I assume it's going to be down there with 2012, if not lower. 2016, that could be on and off. It's probably going to be, if it's going to be lower than 2013, 2014, it's going to be just lower. If it's going to be higher, it's going to be just higher. 2017, I don't have many fond memories of that either, although I was mad throughout the whole season, basically. So maybe if I rewatch it, I'll see some things that I didn't see then. 2018, I mean, that's like a light switch flip, where like the first half, if you had a good race, it was exciting. Then the second half, if you had a bad race, it was shocking. So that might balance out. We don't know where that'll end up. 2019, I don't know. And so what made people love this 2014 season? I think part of it has to do with the fact, hey, Toyota only won 2 races this season in 2014, okay? Only won 2 races. Auto Club with Kyle Busch, which was a complete luck win because Gordon and Johnson had the field covered. Then Johnson blew a tire, and then Gordon was going to win. And then Gordon ended up getting screwed by yellow because of Clint Boyer. So Kyle Busch was nowhere near winning that race, and got very lucky because of the tire issues. And then, obviously, Toyota won the first Talladega race with Denny Hamlin, where it ended under yellow because of a bumper cover on the racetrack. So maybe that's what makes some people like it, because maybe some people are Toyota haters. Obviously, 2 of the sport's most popular drivers, Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr., had resurgent seasons, almost like career-defining seasons, right? Jeff Gordon had his best season since 2001, okay? So there was a lot to be excited about. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had his best season since 2004. And those fan bases account for so much of the NASCAR fan base that them being happy means a lot of people are happy. So as an Earnhardt Jr. fan, I look back on 2014 with fond memories, winning a Daytona 500, winning Martinsville, which is my favorite racetrack, winning at Pocono, my home racetrack, and being there for one of those wins. So yes, 2014 is basically the best season as an Earnhardt Jr. fan that you can have watching it. For me, at least, because obviously Daytona 500, biggest race of the season, favorite racetrack win, and then home racetrack win, being there to see one as well, makes it that much better. So yes, that also. Jimmy Johnson wasn't as dominant either. He got 4 wins, but he still wasn't dominant like he was in 2013 or 2010, 2009, 08, 07, 06. He wasn't really great. In fact, probably 2014 at that point in his career was his worst season up to that point, which is scary to think about because he was still good in 2014. It was probably his worst season of his career, even worse than 2002, his rookie season. And also, there was some parity in the playoffs. Obviously, AJ Allmendinger won at the road course. Eric Almirola won the rain-shortened Daytona race. So we had some underdogs in there, which obviously got eliminated first round, but still. But also, throughout the chase, Chip Ganassi Racing came alive, and so did Furniture Road Racing. You go and you look at Chip Ganassi Racing. Jamie McMurray had some good, strong cars at some racetracks, especially Kansas. And Kyle Larson was whooping everyone's butts in chase races. I think, if I remember correctly, Kansas is the 5th race of the chase, so basically the middle point. He had the second best average finish after Kansas of any driver in the field in those 5 chase races. The only driver he lacked to was Joey Logano, right? Kyle Larson finished top 5 at Chicagoland, top 5 at Loudon. I don't remember Dover. He did really well at Charlotte. He did amazing at Kansas. That man was just doing some stuff and made it interesting because it wasn't just chase drivers you could talk about. You could talk about Kyle Larson, talk about Jamie McMurray. Martin Truex Jr.'s average finish in the final 10 races of the season was exponentially better than his average finish in the first 26 races of the season, and it followed through in 2015 with them making the final 4. So, it was just kind of different. People who got eliminated would still do well, and even people that didn't make the chase, they still brought out their stuff and did well. I mean, Chip Ganassi Racing was one of the best teams at Kansas. Jamie McMurray was really, really fast in lead laps. Kyle Larson was really, really fast. And if it wasn't for McMurray's issues, I mean, Chip Ganassi Racing may have been the best team that day. So, yes, 2014 does get a thumbs up from me. It was a good season. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't great. Or it was great. It wasn't just, out of this world great. I would watch it again for sure. It was good. And I think that's all I really have to say now. So 2015's next, which a lot of people say is the worst season NASCAR's had in quite some time, if not ever. So we'll see if those claims get backed up in a few months. Hopefully it's a little bit better rewatching it back. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you guys next time.